And I think then you get past a point where I know I'm going to get, once you get investors and everyone's going to say, I think you should do that. And I think you should do that. And I think you should do that. I'm still going to stay pretty true to the fact that like, I'll take your advice, but like what got me here is not by taking everyone's advice and executing it immediately. It's by like, just listening to my gut and my 45 years of being a tinkerer and figuring out how stuff works.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the 1% Podcast. I'm your host, Vin, and
I'm Shane.
And today we're joined by my good friend, Kyle Hudson. And hello, my man. And he is building Stacklist. It's going to be a really, really popular app, especially if you haven't already heard of it. You should. It's going to be one of the best new ways to connect with friends, share information. And Kyle will tell you all about it. So, Kyle, welcome to the show, my man.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate you being here. Can you please tell people what all the buzz is about with Stacklist?
Well, let me go back to where it sort of started and see if you can sort of see where this little nugget of an idea came from. It's funny, it actually started when my wife and I used to live in New York, and we were on a date in 2017. And I guess unlike most date conversations I would imagine that happen, we talk a lot about products and services and like customer experience and how like things, when they're working really well, how fun it is. But one of the things we were talking about is the fact that you can't actually just like share stuff with other people. Like share your favorite, go ahead and just send me your favorite restaurants in Chicago. You just sort of like, immediately you get this idea, like I got to sit down in front of the computer and I got to do a bunch of Googling or Google Doc and those sort of things. But it's so weird to me that you can't just like literally share your favorite stuff within a click or find that stuff really quickly to send to a friend. So that's the idea, is that you can you save all of your favorite stuff into one place, which is Stacklist, and then you can, however you want to. It could take 2 restaurants and an open table and an Airbnb, and I could take all those things and just make you a stack in a couple of seconds and text it. And then you don't have to have Stacklist. But if you want an account for free, then you can sign it up and then save all those things, so you're not like, I know that Kyle sent me a restaurant, but I can't remember. Is it in text? No, he emailed it. No, did he send it to my wife? You know, that you're like, it's all in one place.
I love that, man. I think that it's really interesting because we have a lot of social media, but none of them really puts emphasis on being able to share things aside from what we're typically sharing, right? Which is like memes, stupid videos. Maybe you should go, if the right video is shot, like, oh, go check out this restaurant or something because you saw a trending video. But nobody's really doing what it is that you're doing, is what it seems like to me. I have never encountered some sort of a platform where people could actually go and share recommendations. Is it just restaurants, or do you guys have other things too? Can I recommend my books or my movies? Like, how does this the whole thing work? Give us the breakdown of Stack.
Anything with a link. If you actually look around your space right now where you're sitting, like name one thing doesn't originate or like is related to a link. You either bought it on Amazon or there's a company that has this thing, or so you think about, restaurants are easy because I think we all try and like, we give those recommendations, or we went on a trip and I stayed at this hotel and someone goes, oh, that sounds great, send me that hotel, or, those have to do with links. But also I have this great dog collar that my dog wears that sort of tells how much exercise she's gotten, which reminds me that I should sort of get her out and take her for a longer walk this afternoon. And if I tell somebody about that and they're like, oh, can you send that to me? I'd have to go find, like I'd have to sort of awkwardly go down into my phone for a little while and search. But that's just a link and I could send that to you. But the cool thing is there's probably a referral that I could also get on that. So when I share that with you, I could also get rewarded, whether it's an affiliate link or something like that. So being able to take all the links in your life, whether it could be a PDF, it could be your book, it could be a website or a blog article, it could be your favorite gaming YouTube videos that you aggregate and people follow you because you just seem to find the best ones on YouTube or TikTok, and you aggregate that into a list and you put it on your profile. And so being able to sort of take those things that you curate with, that's almost anything that's content or a link, and put it together is where it makes it a lot more it's longer lasting. That if you scroll through someone's Instagram, a lot of that is trying to get your attention right now about a thing, but it's very ephemeral. The second you see it, someone's like, you have to look at my trip to Tahiti, and you look at it and you go, that looks great. And about 4 seconds later, that's gone. And you would never be able to use that as an actual reference. Even if you did bookmark it in Instagram, I don't know how often you go back to your Instagram bookmarks and like to plan things. Work that way.
I think there's so many different levels that you can really hit with. For instance, I love cooking. When I look at recipes and I really loved it, the first thing now that I do is I write down the recipe or I'll take a screenshot. But now my phone has 38,000, screenshots and photos because I have 2 kids and they take up most of my phone. And now it's like, I want to make that recipe and now I have to try to find it. So rather than actually just getting a link and posting it somewhere.
Yeah. Well, the utility for you is the first layer of the kind of concentric circle is that you can find it again. So you just type in bruschetta and it pops up and you click it and you read through your recipe again. Then the second layer to that is how easy it is to take that link and just fire it off to Vin in a text message and go, hey, here's that thing that I told you about. Right. And then he can save it instead of getting the link and then saving wherever Vin saves things and sort of repeating that process. And then the third layer is that sort of social context of putting it on your profile and letting anyone who follows you find it too.
Especially in this day and age. Influencer marketing has such a big staple in today's society when it comes to selling products. If I wanted to follow Kyle and I wanted to see his top 10 favorite restaurants in Vegas and New York, and then that's what I want to be. Oh, I can be like Kyle if that's the case. Or if I want to go where I've known Vin a long time and Vin and I have eaten a lot of food and we have similar taste palettes, and be like, oh, he recommends this steakhouse. I definitely. Now, I'm assuming you also have a shit list, a do not recommend, do not go here. I'm assuming at least specifically for restaurants, you have something like that too, right? Like a
No, not really. I think one of the things that we're also solving, my hypothesis is that we're solving is it's the anti-Yelp, right? Yelp turned into this sort of cesspool of like, everything 3.5 stars? Like, is everything? And if you go to something now that's 4 stars, does that mean it's terrible? I mean, it's just about to get shut down because everybody's like, oh, the hostess was mean and they didn't bring my food fast enough. And so what's interesting is to think about what if you didn't have stars and you didn't have sort of like negative sentiment comments over and over again. It couldn't be used as someone like a Yelp who sort of keeps things like behind a gate unless you want to pay for being part of this process.
Right.
Now you basically think, if I go and you share stuff with me, you're not going to put crap stuff in there. Like you're going to put good stuff and not shitty stuff into your Stacklist account. So now when I search, if I find it in yours, it's good. Like you're not going to put the terrible stuff in there. And so you're only finding good recommendations, which makes it easier. I went to New York for the first time in a while. I hadn't been there in years. And I was standing on the corner on Mission and I was like, I got to get a bite to eat. You go to Google Maps and you type in restaurants. I get like 8 random places and they're all 4.1 stars. So then I have to start picking through the photos. The photos are all user generated, terrible photos. And like the comments are sort of hit or miss. I seriously don't know where to eat. But if I had had a couple of recommendations from my friends that live in San Fran, it's going to be more of the sort of top percentage of like good stuff because it's only the stuff that they were like, put this thing in Stacklist because I want to share it with other people. It becomes a better recommendation engine starting from me to me and you versus boil the ocean and tell me what's not kind of terrible. So I like it the other way around.
I like it. Keeping it positive. You're only making your recommendations there. I like that.
I'm seeing this as a very interesting opportunity. Now, what is there currently a way for people to monetize in Stacklist? Like, let's say you don't just have the average everyday person like me. Like, what if you get somebody that wants to use the platform because they're an influencer? Like, do you guys have those opportunities right now where if somebody like puts up a link to the book and all of a sudden this book sells, now the influencer made $2 on the book? Or like, how are you guys doing a road to revenue for people?
Yeah, so from an influencer perspective, it's actually, and we actually have seen a lot of good positive feedback about moving away from the idea of an influencer or content creator into a curator. If you think about this, to become an influencer, you got to become really good at content. I've got to shoot selfies of myself and go, hey guys, I want to tell you about this new case I found. And I've got to learn how to do that. Then I have to learn how to edit this. Then I have to learn about hashtags. Then I have to sort of get my following. And it takes me a while to do that. But if you two know me as a really good just curator of technical gadgets, You could follow me and be like, what camera does he use? Or what mic does he use? Well, I just use my Amazon affiliate link, and I don't have to be an influencer to do this, anyone. And I put this on my stack list. Well, if you buy this, which by the way, this is my new favorite, but if you buy this, I end up making money on it. And I didn't have to be an influencer. You just basically followed me because I curate good things. So anyone who curates their life, I mean, everybody's got like stuff that they're like, oh, it's my favorite book. Think about putting all your books that you've ever read in that you would recommend, and they're all Amazon linked, and you just left it. And for the next little while, people go through and you make $1 here and $1 there and $1 here. You end up paying for those books, not because you had to make content and try and get likes and follows and use hashtags, but simply just in your social circle, people go, what are you reading now? And you're like, oh, let me send it to you. And I send you that card on Stacklist, but it's wrapped in that affiliate link. Then you end up making that money. The cool thing is when your friend gets it, if they don't want to buy it right now, they save it into Stacklist. Your affiliate link now lives eternally in their personal account, the same account they use to save Netflix shows they like and recipes and whatever. So that account, that affiliate link sort of has a longer lifespan than if they didn't want to buy that book right then.
I really like that because I think that that's probably one of the biggest issues in today's world, right? Like everybody's mass consuming social media, and it's really just a race to the top or bottom, however you want to look at it, right? Because it's a race to get the guy who's got the biggest audience to promote your product. And so you'll pay him whatever because you know if his fans are hot enough, they're going to buy whatever. But it doesn't actually mean that they love the product, that they know the product, that they're a viable source. And eventually I think people see that. And to me, it sounds like what you're talking about is this is your opportunity to sell something if you're actually an expert, or more appropriately, if people really trust you, right? If people say, well, Vin's a business guy, if he's going to recommend, I mean, he sits on videos and does video calls 12 to 16 hours a day. If he's recommending lighting, a mic, and a camera to me, he's probably got the good stuff.
If I went to Vin's profile and I saw on services I use and there was an accountant on there, I'll call the accountant. Like that would be it. But how would I ever get to that on your Instagram or TikTok or your Twitter, or I still call it Twitter. I can't do it. I just like, how would that stuff ever bubble up? Unless maybe you wrote a blog article about all the things I like, but that thing sort of lives off on the side. Maybe gets like a view or two every now and then. And so being able to surface these things and that might get swapped out after a year or two. You're like, I don't like working with them. So you take it out and you replace with somebody else. And now I've got another recommendation that I can find.
That's a really interesting point too. I want to just jump in there real quick. I love that. So it becomes almost a source of networking as well. Like I could put my trusted resources, my trusted people, like let's say I have 100 people in my network that I would refer, but it's very hard, right? So if somebody texts me like, Vin, do you have an account? I'm not going to send them 5 different accountants that I know. I'm going to send them the one that's most top of mind, which is probably the guy I use or the person I talk to the most. But now I could have, let's just say, affiliate relationships with 5 different accountants.
Totally.
And all of a sudden, anybody could choose who they want.
And that's where we've gotten to. I just pulled up Stacklist, and my son's tutor, I type in tutor and I've got the card, I can text it to you. So my son's English tutor, 2 seconds, and I would just text that to you and that you've got it. And that again, you're not saving it. Whenever you get something in text, it just kind of like, as we text, it sort of leaves, but you could just hit plus and then you've saved it. And now you can go ask AI, in Stacklist, like, hey, what was that tutor that somebody sent me? Or what was that accountant? So being able to recommend things. I threw with Andrew Young in New York, who is phenomenal at throwing events. We threw a dinner for 16 founders in New York. And what I did is every stack and every list comes with a QR code. So I made a stack for the founders dinner, and I had the LinkedIn profile of every person at the dinner, and we had the QR code right by the plate. So instead of bumping phones, my QR, your QR, my QR, your QR, like you scan the QR by your plate and you hit save and you save everybody at the dinner. But it also has the context of like, this person started an AI company. This person has a graphic designer. This person so now when you go home, you're not like, oh, that's the worst. You go back to like the hotel and you go to LinkedIn and you go, who did I meet? What did they do? But now you have all the context and you could edit some of those notes and be like, should reach back out. would be good for funding, knows VC or whatever, and you've got all those people. And I could actually then take all 16 of those and recut them and send a stack of 8 to someone else and say, here's all the AI people.
Interesting. Is there any form of maybe follow-up? Like, I think would be really cool if you have this on Stacklist of like, I met these 16 people at the dinner, and then Stacklist shoots me a reminder. It's like, hey, you met those people yesterday, like, or whatever, or 2 days ago. Does it do that?
We're working on that. That is in the roadmap soon, and the other is statuses. So imagine that if you were a real estate agent and you said, hey, I'm looking for an apartment on the Upper West Side, the real estate agent could grab. I've got a real estate agent in New York who basically, I say, how do you send prospective properties? And he goes, well, I go to Street Easy and I take the links and I email the links to people. Well, if it's like Zillow and Redfin and Street Easy and MLS and all these different, do I sign up for all of those? Or do I send you a stack? And for each link, I say, this one's great. It sits on the second floor, but it is a walk up. This one's got better light, but it's a little more than you were expecting. So I've got notes on all of them. And then you could change the status to be like rejected, approved. You know what I mean? Like you could sort of, and again, this is not real estate software. It's just links, but links become content. And then you can sort of like collaborate with people around that, but in a really lightweight way without having to like set up Notion and have Notion run your life. Because I love Notion, but also if you're going to run everything that you do and dump it all in there, you're like, now I have to organize it all and I have to like spend an hour a day like organizing it. And what I want to be able to do is just dump stuff into a place and then be like, show me my New York restaurants and then text those to you. So we're trying to keep it like really easy and simple.
Wow. It's like a CRM that organizes itself. Go ahead, Shane. I've been talking a lot.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I pictured it too, like Notion or like Monday.com, like an organization tool, but instead of actually doing it automatically. I want to bring this back to the social setting because you said this was more going to be like a social. Can you talk about how this is going to be a social platform? Like, do I log in and I go, oh, Kyle uploaded a new favorite restaurant that he had it, or a new recipe or a new servicer? Like, walk me through on how it is going to be a social.
Yeah, if you follow my favorite digital tools and hardware, or like my video shooting and editing stack, then maybe I end up replacing, I hope they come out with a face cam. I mean, this isn't bad, but it's got some weird things to it. But if they came out with a new one and I added, or I switched off of this to a Logitech, imagine getting a little notification that said like, Kyle just bought the Logitech Brio and said it's awesome. And that you're like, oh wait, like immediately, instead of waiting to see content from me in a feed that you have to sort of follow me on all the things, it sort of cuts straight into Kyle just recommended and loves this new Logitech Brio. And now you're like, I'm gonna check that out. So you're actually staying on the cutting edge of whatever it is that you like following, whether it's a new restaurant that opened or whether it's like a playlist. I've got my Apple Music playlist that you can follow. And if I added a new thing to it, or a new band or something, you're sort of cutting through all the content that you have to follow, like reading Eater blog or reading Wired magazine. Like you have to read and consume all this content versus like really quickly being sort of mainlined into the favorite things that you and I think are. So maybe if I had my I call it like my Netflix top 50 and I only put my favorite like streaming shows in it, if I killed something off that list and I replaced it with something else, you might have something better to watch this weekend versus being like, hey Kyle, what you watching these days? Or whatever, which you would also probably never see in my Instagram feed because I'm not gonna like feed about what TV shows I watch.
So two questions here. One, I love that you're changing the game for influencer affiliate marketing by essentially destroying the content aspect. You've already built the know, like, and trust factor with people or with your followers, that people that love your stuff. So you're just essentially going straight to the source. This is what I recommend. Here's a link to buy it.
Yep.
I'm assuming it doesn't always work like that for the affiliate money. It's just you're posting your top 50 shows on Netflix. Go watch this. So my next thing is, you said follow certain stacks. So it's not just I'm just following Kyle and everything that he likes. Let's say your restaurants are terrible because you have Taco Bell rated top 5 of your best eateries.
Totally. I'm going to put that on my stack just for you, by the way.
Yeah. But I could
Shane would prefer if you have pineapple on your pizza in your stack.
Okay.
I could follow your digital stack or your Netflix stack because.
Or my podcast. or
Yeah,
whatever in a different way that if you don't
I
follow it
love
on
it.
Spotify, but also if I go back, think about going back, like I love Smart List from a podcast perspective, but if I go through them, like I could save 1 or 2 episodes that I want to come back and listen to, and I don't have to save it on Spotify, which I also have to sort of dig through all of the like things, but saving an article or saving a YouTube video that I want to come back to, I know where it is. Like I've put it somewhere that I can
Right.
find it really quickly. And
Right.
then if I want to recommend you, I just flip a switch and it's on my profile now. And that podcast episode's on my profile. So yeah, in that same way, you could follow me, or you could follow my podcast, or you could follow my like what I'm wearing this fall or whatever. And it becomes sort of a little bit of a micro follow that you don't have to follow everything I do. You just follow this little niche thing that I do and decide what updates you want to get on that little niche thing, which could be, I've got a New York list, which a list is a group of stacks. And the reason I have a list for New York is because I have a stack of restaurants, but I also have a stack of experiences and then a stack of stuff to do with kids. And so I've got different things. You might not want that whole thing, but
Sure.
you do follow the one for stuff to do with kids in New York because I kind of update that on a regular basis. And when I do, it just gives you inspiration to be like, I'm gonna save that thing. That's a cool one.
Is this is the way that it categorizes into these sub niches? Is it through like AI, the intelligent process of this? Like how do you categorize it so well, right? Because you were talking about one of the big issues that I myself encounter, right? Is like I probably right at this moment on Instagram have like I have in my own folder of travel inspo. I probably have like 200 plus videos in there. So now if I want to go find the thing I saved in Norway, I can't just find the thing I saved in Norway, right? I got to go through all these damn videos.
Yep.
So how does it intelligently pair and bring these things up? Like I'll have 300 videos in Stacklist, but the minute I type Norway trip, only the Norway things I've saved is going to come up, right? So how
Norway
do you
trip
guys
video. So
Norway trip video?
everything that's saved in is has context and is sort of vectorized in a way that AI can understand it. So that when you say like show me founders that I know that are into AI, that I can kind of cut through some of that stuff and it gets between the title and the notes and the things that were saved or the
Mm,
tags that were saved in there that you can start to grab those. And now you can just select those 2 or 3 relevant things. Then you could come back and say, now show me New York stuff, show me New York Italian stuff. And you could like grab that and now make a stack just about those things and then send that off to somebody and go, here's the stuff we talked about. None of it could be related, but it's the stuff. I had that happen once. I was having drinks with Flatiron once and we were talking and I was telling him about all these like new AI tools and these services that I was using. He's like, these all sound great. I am never going to remember half the stuff you told me. And I was like, just wait. And he was like, what do you mean? I was like, don't worry about it. So we left. And as I walked from the bar to the hotel, I made a stack and texted him. I was like, good to see you. And I texted him. It was 7 things we talked about. And he just sent back like the mind blown emoji that was like, here's those things we talked about. And again, it's not me going boom, 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 boom. Like I'm not spamming you all these things. I'm sending it in the context of our conversation. So it can be conversational or it can be city or conversational. And that's what we're lacking with something like a Notion or a Google Doc is that you have to remake the context every time, whether it's a trip or whether it's about business videos or whatever. You have to sit down and sort of draw it all out versus like just taking the little atoms and sort of making like a molecule out of it within a couple of clicks.
I think this is going to be massive. The fact that you started that this year
Yeah, in April.
is unbelievable. I hope that you actually become public, but I can't wait to
Totally.
download this on my app right after this and start stacking.
Cool. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. And we want all the feedback. We are fast. We get feedback. We run 1 week sprints. So we had somebody tell us like, oh, I think you should do this. And either by the end of the week or later that week, we're like, by the way, that thing's live you wanted. So we love going super fast. We launched the iPhone app October 4th. And the next morning I woke up and I was like, I'm so excited we have an app. I also think I feel like it looks terrible. And from the 4th to the 24th, we redesigned it and relaunched it. And so that's kind of how we move. And we're going to try and keep that in our ethos because I feel like that's one of the things that makes it whatever the opposite is of having all sorts of committees. It takes a year to launch a feature. Like I just want to ship stuff and get it out the door so we can get people being like, that's good. You should kill that like really quickly. So I want all the feedback you can give me. There's chat in the app and there's chat on the web. there, and then all the browser extensions. If you're going to do a project, like you're going to sit down and like plan a trip, the browser extensions are the way to go, because any site that you're on, you click it and it sucks all the data into the extension, and then you can like add it to a stack or add notes or whatever. But the mobile app is great for being on the go. You can actually, like, if you're on Chrome or any site that you're on, you can hit that little share button that's on any app, and you can push that link out to Stacklist and it'll pull it in, make it a card. Excuse me. I got the hiccups. I don't know why the mobile app made me hiccup. But no, we love the feedback, and yeah, and we're excited to build so fast and iterate and hear. I want to hear how people use it too, because I know there's lots of ways that people are going to use it that I have not even dreamed of yet.
Open-minded CEO, the fact that you're adapting change to it too is a true test to it. Successful. Vin and I talk about this all the time. It's just glad to see. I'm glad that your improvements. That's never going to change. I can't wait to stack. I want.
It's so interesting when you start thinking about it this way. You'll start finding things, and it's such a natural thing, by the way, to be like, yeah, I'll send you a stack. That's fine. Or like, just go to my profile, and actually, you guys should grab Vin. If we haven't talked about it, you got to go grab at Vin, because you could get stacklist.app / and like, that's just your thing. And then what I tell people is like, just go to stacklist.app / Kyle, and New York Stacks on there. And so it just becomes so natural to sort of be like, that's how I share stuff with you. And we're really working for the profiles to kind of be that LinkedIn profile, but that sort of front door to who you are. Because again, you go to Twitter or something like that and you look at everything, it doesn't really tell you who they are. But if you go to mine, you'll see New York and my podcast and my my YouTube stuff, my video stuff and whatever. It sort of gives you a more holistic 360.
I mean, I'm even thinking of utilizing it on a personal level. I can't tell you the trips that my wife and I go on, and an amazing time at this hotel. And it's like, what place did we go to 7 years ago that we want to, try to replan this trip and go to specifically the best places that we went? And like,
totally.
even something like that. Or when you're talking about that trip to friends and family, it's like, these are the exact places that I went to. If you're thinking about going, you got to check it. I love it.
If you go to stacklist.app / Kyle, my 2014 trip to Venice, there's 8 places on there that I seriously recommend. And the cool thing is, even if you're not planning to go to Venice anytime soon, if you just go save those places, I guarantee you when you go to Venice, now you've got 8 places. You can sort of start your and you didn't have to sort of do anything. Like that's the idea, is that you can start curating stuff even to do the actual.
I just went there. It looks like Pizza Hut's your #1 restaurant.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So good. Get the pineapple.
Shane loves pineapple. Shane loves it. So Kyle, I'm curious. Obviously, building a business is a very difficult endeavor for anyone. What have been one or some of the biggest challenges you've faced in this process of starting something new and just building from the ground up?
I think starting something that is not, I don't want to build an endpoint solution. I don't want to niche down. People go like, oh, why don't you just build something like Belly? Or are you building something like, Dig or Delicious, or Pocket? Like, immediately, I know our brain wants to do the Uber of X, but I really love being in this place. And I think, the only reason I've been able to do this is that we're bootstrapped up to this point, that I could get it to this point without being forced by anybody else to sort of put it in a box. I love Rick Rubin's, like, the creative act, and that idea of whatever the opposite of business plan is. Like, there's this thing that's unfolding, and I'm just along for the ride, seeing how it's unfolding. And I don't have to have, like, on day one, this like finished business plan that says, I know what it's going to look like in 2 years, because anybody that knows exactly what it's going to look like, this thing changes so fast that, like, I just love riding the rapids and seeing it. I can see the long-term vision that I know is bigger than Pinterest, and it sort of has more, more users and more like value daily to more people. I can't tell you the steps of how we're going to get there, but that's fine. And I'm okay being like, some days it's super gray and I can't see where we're going next. And other days I'm like, oh, I can see it and I know where it's going. And like, I just get like, and I get so jazzed by it. I think I've been through this though a number of times because my personality is such that like I've been at jobs where I'm making even when I started my first major job, I was 21, I was selling web hosting and I was just like crushing it, bringing home big commission checks. And I'm the one being like, drinks on me for everybody. Cause I'm just like, this is amazing. But the job was terrible. And I asked my boss, like, I want to talk about management. And she said, well, you're only 21. You don't need. And I left. I'm out. And of course, my parents were like, what are you doing? You do for money or whatever. But I've always been this like, I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to like, I'd rather figure it out like this than sort of sit and be like, I need to stay super comfortable for as long as humanly possible until something like slaps me across the face. I want to go out and find it or like make it or do it. And funny enough, it didn't take, but like within 2 weeks, I was having a drink with a friend at a bar. The guy next to me was like, this is in 2000. He was like, I got to go get one of those website things for my consulting company. I was like, hey, I'll build you a website. I had never built a website at all. He was like, how much is it? I go, $5,000. And he was like, cool, let me go in my car. I'm going to get my checkbook. Is half okay? And we can just like get started from that. And then when you're done, I'll give you, yeah, that sounds great. And so the next day I like had to go buy an HTML book and like figure out how to do a website. But I did it. And I gave it to him. And then I was like, wait, it was the red pill from me that was like, you don't have to like wait for that person to be like, you're allowed to go be in management. You can just go like, and now it's even 10 times that, right? You can go on a great marketplace like Contra and just like set yourself up as a freelancer and be like, I do this consulting. Do you want some of it? And people will pay you. And it goes into your bank account and you don't have to like wait on anybody to do that stuff. And so that's the same way that I've led this is that, you know, I knew people that were like, you got to set a budget. Don't spend more than your budget. Investing in this thing way over whatever budget I should have set. But like, too bad because I'm in it now. And like, I'm going to like force this thing into existence. And I think then you get past a point where I know I'm going to get, once you get investors and everyone's going to say, I think you should do that. And I think you should do that. And I think you should do that. I'm still going to stay pretty true to the fact that like, I'll take your advice, but like what got me here is not by taking everyone's advice and executing it immediately. It's by like, just listening to my gut and my like, 45 years of being a tinkerer and figuring out how stuff works. That's what sort of, gets things to the point it's at. So I'm going to just keep listening to that, I guess.
You're a doer, man. That's what it comes down to. You see an opportunity and you just take it by the balls. I mean, putting it so bluntly. Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. And that type of mentality is, you don't see that anymore. That's why Vin and I love talking to entrepreneurs and, the 1% of, just taking 100 people. They don't have that. They're scared. There's risk involved. There's risk of failure. There's risk of success, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
But the immediate mindset of the website is you saw an opportunity, you grabbed it. You're like, now I got to figure it out. That's all it is.
What's the worst? This guy's going to get mad at me and I got to give him his money back. But like, it's fine. But I would rather I'd rather be dumb for a while at something new like that and then get good at it than have anybody think, well, who do you think you are trying this new thing or whatever it is? I'm like, I don't know. I'm pretty dumb at it, but I'm going to figure it out. But I do think it's like that fear of failure and what other people think is a hard one. I also think that, I grew up, I feel like what I consider the Nintendo generation. I don't know what letter that is, but I was born in 79. I don't know I can't remember if that was X or whatever, but the Nintendo generation for me is like the people who grew up with the NES. You had to blow in the cartridges and all that sort of stuff where it's like you still had that, like, grew up during the period where your high school transcript is going to, and you'd better get into a good school or you'll never make something of yourself. And you can't leave a job after 2 years. What will the next employer say? They'll think you're a job hopper. Like all of these things that we were sort of built with, I feel like I had to go through that with my parents of their like, what do you mean you're not going to like, and I'm glad I didn't graduate with a degree in business administration because I don't know what I would have done with that. Like I still probably would have done the same thing that I did, which was I just want to go out and try stuff and like figure out what works and what doesn't work for me and and have that more labs kind of Edison mindset. And so, yeah, I that's the only thing is that I wish I had sooner. I had just sort of like done it earlier and failed faster and been proud of that and been like, I got 3 failed companies. This is amazing. Because you know what's going to happen is like the 4th one or the 5th one's going to hit, and now you're good at it and you're more Teflon coated, you're more insulated than you were when you first started. And so like just right around that corner when you start doing that, there's something that's going to pop up, and now you're like, I do this now. I build websites now. Who knew?
Man adapts. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Well, Kyle, we got one really big, important question for you here, my friend.
Yeah.
So, as you know, this is the 1% podcast. However, we don't necessarily believe you have to be a billionaire to be a 1%er. We believe that 1%ers are people who are striving to achieve something amazing in their field. You could be a 1%er in anything, should you work hard enough and develop it enough, or honestly, whether it's personal, professional, whatever that might be. So our question to you is, what is your version of a 1% life? What do you believe it?
I do whatever the hell I want to do. I mean, I think that's the thing, is that I've always felt I was never one for school. It's not how I learned. That you talk at me for 45 minutes and then I will put what you said to me back on a piece of paper. Like, I got to take the computer apart. I got to like make it break and then beg my parents for a new one. And now I know not what to do. But the same thing with the same thing with working. I think it's one of those that I've always been a remote worker, well before other people were. And I think it's one of those that I've always enjoyed the fact that like, look, if I'm ahead of my game and I've gotten all my work done, I'm gonna go run get some groceries. It's 10:30 a.m., but like, who cares? Like, I already did my work. Like, one of those things that I can do whatever I want to, and if I want to, if I'm off today, like if I'm not really feeling it, I think there's this like kind of army, more sort of my dad's dad version of like, well, you got to just suck it up and do it because you got to do work. I'm like, nope, you know what? I'm playing Xbox at 2:00 on a Tuesday because I am just off. And what I don't want to do is do what my dad did, which is just like suck it up and like burn through it. I want to just, if I need to take a little time for myself, because I also am really good at understanding where my flows are. But a lot of times when you're working for other people, you're doing other things, it doesn't always go with that flow. And I want to be able to work with my flow. And I think the other thing is, when I say do whatever I want to do, is like, if I want to take the family and my boys and let's go live in Portugal for 2 months, like that's where we're going to go do it. Because this right here, where we're on camera and we're on video, you guys have no clue that I'm not in Venice or in Portugal or in Tahiti. You have no idea where I am. So I can do it from anywhere. And I think I just want to be able to not be constrained by that. Like, you should, you have to, you can't, you won't. I won't let you. It's not in the rules, like, or whatever it is. And I just, as long as I can, do what I want to do within those boundaries, which is whatever I feel like is right based on what I've learned and what I like to do, then that's what I think my 1% is. And you're right. You don't have to be a millionaire. You could go live in a beach in Mexico and you could live off of some modest savings and do whatever you want to do and probably be living a richer life than somebody who's, look, I've been in that place too, where I make, you make some really, really good money at a corporate. You're just, and so, I think having freedom and being able to do what you want to is.
Amen.
That's 100% what Shane and I advocate for a lot. We want to live our best lives on our own terms, and I think that's pretty much honestly, it's almost every entrepreneur, right? I think we get into it because we'd rather figure it out ourselves and shoot for the goal and shoot for the freedom and shoot for all of it than live safely, getting a paycheck and just working for someone else. So yep. I love your answer, Kyle. Last question for you before we wrap up here today. Please tell everybody, how can they go about supporting you? How can they get their Stacklist profiles? How can they start getting it on the craze before it blows up?
I'm going to do this right after we hang up, I'm going to set up. So 1%, not the percent sign, like 1% all spelled out. So ONE% also all spelled out. 1%, first 50 people that use that will get 50% off for life for the Pro account. So that's $4 a month. Basically, you know, all the features that come forever. Even if I'm sure we're gonna have a price increase at some point, because this is the way the business works, right? We're gonna there's gonna be a lot more AI, and there's gonna be a lot more help. There's gonna be integrations into stuff, and but if you go claim that, then it's basically you can just stay at that $4 a month forever. And so that would be for life. And that would be the biggest way to support, is basically just get in, you know, do $4 a month or whatever that ends up being. It's like $36 a year, and then use it, and then just give us so much feedback. You can use, if you go to stacklist.app/Kyle, set time with me. I'll book an hour with you, 2 hours with you, like whatever, get on my calendar and walk me through why it doesn't work the way you want it to work. And I'll record it, and our team will go build it. Like, so if you want to like seriously influence something where you can be like, that's my thing. Like, I said that thing should be in there, and now it's in there, we'll do it. So that would be the biggest way to do it.
Well, there you heard it, 1%ers. Go get your damn stack list. Go give this man the $4 and make something amazing while you have the opportunity before it's already built and you missed the train and paid full price for it. So, Kyle, first I want to thank you so much for that generous offer for our listeners. Secondly, thank you so much for being here. We're excited. Hang out for a minute after. We got another thing to talk about. And, you know, we really appreciate you showing up today. So thank you so much.
Amazing. Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, guys, you know what to do. Like, share, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think about this. Go connect with Kyle. As always, I'm your host, Vin. That is...
And I'm Shane.
There you are. And that was Kyle. And we're out. See you later, everybody.
Bye, guys.